Hi guys, Rick here from Svnty Offroad. Today I'm going to be installing MOLLE panels. I've already jumped the gun on this one, so this one's done. Small door's done. We're going to be doing the big door. Okay, so this is the bugger here. Pretty big, fits over the back door. So first hand, before we get stuck into this, before we even think about putting it onto this area here, we have to do a couple of things. First of all, we have to pull this plastic shroud off, get rid of that. Second of all, we're going to be clamping on the one side. So you want to clamp that frame up once we've got the holes in here mounted up. We want to clamp it so it holds it nice and true, and we can mark out the holes we have to drill. So masking tape, you're going to need to mask up pretty much all the areas where the metal's going to touch, or it's going to rub through the paint. Mask up on the back of the door as well, where the clamp's going to go down on there, so you don't want to be scratching the exterior of your paint. So let's get this plastic cover or shroud removed or whatever, using a 10mm socket. Just get those out. So what you'll find once you remove this plastic cover is you're going to see the plastic nutserts that are used to hold these screws in. Look, you can keep using those if you don't want to drill and load in the M5 nutserts that we supply. You can get away with it, but just bear in mind you're not going to be able to put too much weight on your MOLLE panel. They are just a plastic nutsert, which makes them very weak, and once you unscrewed them a handful of times, they definitely get weaker. So that's them just there. There is a third one down here which I've already tapped for prototyping, so that's already got the nutsert in it. So yeah, look, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out, and I'm going to nutsert them all up and do it properly. Okay, so drilling these out is a bit easier. First of all, we've just got to pull these little plastic clips out. Just twist them and pull them out, come out pretty easily. And you'll see when you get them out that they're pretty weak, so they're not going to hold a huge amount of weight if you decide to use them. 7mm drill bit is used for M5 nutserts, so you've got to get yourself a 7mm drill bit. With these, obviously, you've got the holes already, so that's a good pilot, like a guiding hole, a pilot hole. So just drill those out to 7mm, and we'll then have to touch them up with paint. Now, guys, just do this really slowly. There's not much room in the back here, you know, so you just really want to just drill it out slowly. You don't want to be hitting the back and putting a dent through the other side. So. Okay, with that drilled out, I'm going to deburr these edges, and then I'm going to spray some WD-40 down here. And then what we'll do is we'll wipe it all down, touch it up with some paint, and we'll get those nutserts in. All right, with the paint dry, we can now get the nutserts in. So just be very gentle with nutserting these up, because if you stuff it, you're going to be drilling out your nutsert, and it's not going to be able, the back end's not going to come out, it's going to drop to the bottom, which could lead to rattles and all sorts of stuff. So if that does happen, what I would do is pump some silicone into there. Once you've got your other nutsert, pump a bunch of silicone into there, and hopefully that'll catch that bit of metal and lock it in place. But really, outside of that, it's pretty much in there, unless you can somehow crunch it up. But yeah, so just take your time when putting the nutserts in. Just gently feel the nutsert. Make sure if you've got a setting on it, you set it, so that you're not going to over crimp it and pull the threads out, because they are only alley. So one down, one to go on this side here. Once you've finished installing the nutserts, I like to drill out the plastic shroud. So the first or the lowest nutsert, which is down here. This one I like to drill out with a 9 or 10mm bit, and what that does is it just gives us a bit of room to get the M5 bolt in, and this shroud here kind of like pulls across and goes all sorts of places, so it makes it quite hard to line the bolt up, and it's at a weird angle, and the fold's at a weird angle as well. So just drill that out, give you a little bit more room. It doesn't, don't go anything over a 10mm, but a 9's more than enough. If you don't have a 9, use a 10. And then yeah, basically we can now reinstall that. With the plastic cover back on, we're now pretty much ready to get the MOLLE lined up and mounted on there from that side, and then we can mark out the remaining holes. Yeah, so with that marked up, let's get this MOLLE panel in line. And what we'll need is a 3mm Allen key for this. I believe it's a 3mm. Yep, 3mm M5s. So what we'll do is we'll get it in place and just line it up on the right side with the nutserts. And we kind of just want to hold it in the middle. Just when you're installing the screws, don't go too crazy. You don't want to do them up tight or anything like that. We just want to get them in, get a few threads in so that they're nice and loose. So we got a bit of adjustment. The plastic shower can be a little bit of a pain because it's like I said, they're not exactly square and it doesn't really sit overly nice. So it can be a bit of a pain to line up, and this bottom one is notoriously painful to try and get lined up, but that's why I drilled it out to 9mm, and see that went in pretty easy. Leaving that out there has allowed it to move, but we can tighten all that up later. So right, so all three are in enough, they're not going to pop out. So that's there. Keep in your hand and you don't let this go now, because the weight of it will bend these. So what you want to do is make sure it's up in place. You can kind of like get it roughly lined up, but what I'd be doing now is just get your clamp on there, and don't go too crazy on the clamp. You just want it just nicked up so it's not going to pop off or fall off. And yeah, so now the MOLLE panel's sort of kind of in place now, ready to rock and roll. And what you want to do now is follow these edges along here. So I can feel there's a bit more of a lip up here, so it could probably drop 1/2 to 1 mil. And on the same here, it actually feels pretty good here. So, and on the gauge, it's roughly sitting about 1.5 mil to 2 mil above. And again, looking at the plastic here, you want to try and have a nice even gap through all of this. Yeah, just line it up best you can, because once you've drilled the holes, that's it, it's done. And I think that's where we want to be. And looking down here, it's got a nice parallel gap. It looks pretty good. So yeah, and 20 mils. I think that's ready to rock and roll. So when marking up, you want to push the MOLLE panel flush against the door. You don't want to have any gaps through there. That's going to sort of make it inaccurate, the marking point. So make sure it's flush. Push it down. Okay, so we're good to roll. I'm pretty happy with the location of everything. It looks nice, it looks clean, it looks flush. It's meant to be where it is. So my next step now is to remove this MOLLE panel, get it off, using a center hole punch, make some little points in these and go from there. All right, so we're gonna center punch these now. Center punch tool, hammer. Little taps here and there and it'll get it going. All you need is just something for a pilot hole. So that's about as much as I'll give it. Anything over that I think is a bit of a risk. With the pilot holes drilled, we can now move on to the 7mm drill bit, and this will give us the hole size for the nutsert. On to the next step. Once these have all been drilled out, I like to deburr them, so remove your masking tape. We don't need that anymore. So what we'll do is get that off and then we can deburr the holes. So, and I just use like a little deburring tool like that, or countersunk tool, or whatever you got laying around. And just do these just a little bit, nice and slow. There we go. That's it, done. All right guys, we are on the last step. Let's get this MOLLE panel fitted up. So, first and most important thing to getting this complete, do not screw in one screw tight and then think you're going to get onto the next one, because it won't happen. We have to get every screw in with a handful of threads, and then and only then can we start to tighten it up. Also find if you push onto the alley and sort of get it to bow in or contour in with the window, it does help a lot with getting the screws in. It is a bit of a pain because the alley wants to flex up flat, whereas the doors are got a curve in them or concave in them. So yeah, we'll just work our way around slowly. These ones here, we're probably going to need the Allen key. Okay, so they're pretty much most of the way in. Now for this area here where the plastic shroud is, what you want to do is, before tightening these guys up, is you just want to make sure it's nice and even with the plastic. So if it looks nice and square, pinch it down, because the plastic will be pinched down and held in place. It just looks a lot nicer if it's all square and parallel to the plastic. So that's looking pretty good there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So get that tightened up. Get that nice and tight as well. Get this guy in here as well, nice and tight. That looks good. All right, so we'll just nip these guys up and we are pretty much good to go. Alrighty guys, that's it. We are done. The MOLLE panel is fitted up. We've got this large door MOLLE panel in. The small one was done earlier. So yeah, hopefully that video helps you guys with the process of installing these, builds a bit of confidence, whatnot, because it is pretty daunting. I do get it. You don't want to drill into these little areas. I was also nervous when I do it, and I do a lot of drilling in cars, so I do get it. So yeah, that's the finished product there. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next vid. Cheers.